Hi Mason, it's Asif here. First of all, I want to apologize for not being able to attend the live streams, but I always make sure to watch the recorded videos later. I really appreciate the effort that you put into them. I wanted to ask for your advice about something that's been on my mind. I've been thinking of creating a manga, but I'm not great at drawing. The only thing I can confidently draw is a decent circle. I'm not sure where to start, but I recently watched one of your older live streams from 2 years ago to gather some ideas. If you don't mind, could you share how you first started creating comics or give some advice on where beginners like me should start? It would mean a lot. Alright, this is for you, Asif. I start off all of my stories with an idea, and that idea is my unpopular opinion. What other people would call this is a theme, and the reason why I think of my theme as an unpopular opinion is because I think about a famous philosopher once saying that every story is essentially an argument, and I take that a step forward in thinking that every character is essentially a different perspective of that argument. And the reason why I like to use an unpopular opinion is because that, let's say you have one statement, and I know my positions, and not only that, I know that my position is unpopular, and I know that it's unpopular because I can hear so many different perspectives of said opinion, and I can understand why other people may think one way, but because I have my own experience, I can understand why I think what I do. And by hearing other people, I can understand why other people may think of X, Y, and Z, or understand their perspective on a certain topic. So, and the purpose of having your characters, you write your characters as a perspective and not as people, is using what you do know, or using the context of the character, or why they may think of X, Y, and Z, and giving it context. So the audience will understand how to get from point A to point B, if that makes sense. The way that I write plots are very formulaic. I like to stick with either the hero's journey or a more simplified version, the Dan Hartman story circle that summarizes this 12 parts of the hero's journey down to 8, and it would just be a cycle, and that's not bad because people like familiarity. You don't have to reinvent the wheel 100 times just because you want to feel different. No, you gotta copy what works and then add your own spin to it. And if you don't think you're that interesting to have your own spin, then copy what other people do. Because what makes something new to us is something that a perspective that we haven't understood before, right? So if you don't feel like confident in making something of your own, then make something that somebody else made, preferably kind of more notable than you, and don't just steal from one person, just steal from 2 or 3, and because you are human and you cannot copy one-to-one with what another person made, all of your collaborations within your own mind, the different influences that you've taken in to make one new thing, add it to your own fallibility of a human being, your own quirks, that turns into its own thing. So that's kind of what I do with writing. I guess that can also be traveled over to visual art as well as written art, but that's what I go with. Then I go on to the thumbnails. And with the thumbnails, I like to have like a regular sketchbook paper. I draw 2 rectangles, and then I divide them into two smaller rectangles to imitate a binded book. And then I just start sketching out I start reading a little bit of the script, and I start envisioning it in my head, and then start writing, blocking everything out, each page out. Sometimes I think of the page within its own specific, how do I say this? Its own specific page, or I try to develop the composition as if a whole double page spread. But the whole idea of getting your thumbnails out is to think of a cool idea, draw it out as fast as possible to get ready to go on to the next stage. What I do after that is digitally sketch. You can probably skip this one if you can like take a picture of the thumbnails, put it on your art program of choice, and then draw over that. But I'm probably gonna do that sooner than later, because I want to cut down the time of cost. I was about to say cost. To cut down the time of thumbnails to a finished page as soon as possible. But the beauty of digitally redrawing all of the thumbnails is that you can tweak things a little bit easier than having everything traditionally, where it's another stage of refinement before you go to the finalization. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention on the thumbnail part of the stage is that I like to thumbnail the entire chapter or the entire book, so I can have a good idea of how many pages a single book or a single chapter will be, which I usually try to aim for. For chapters, I try to aim for about 20 pages, because I just see a lot of books do that, a lot of manga, a lot of comics do that, so I'm just copying that. Hey, you are what you imitate. You know what I mean? After that, it's line art. I don't really have much to say about line art specifically, other than it's just being confident with your brush strokes or your just general strokes of the pen, and just getting one step closer to the finalization. I also, for me personally, I find it probably the most tedious part of creating the comics. It can get like, if for each person it could be mindless or it can be zen. So this is usually the part where my brain is kind of on autopilot and I just have like podcasts on in the background. Yeah, I think this is the only part where I just usually don't have to think that much, and it's just trying to get to the finalization, make those abstract ideas a little bit more concrete for the next part. And the next part is being tones, or colors if you want to color things in for yourself. And I don't know, I can't really speak too much on that. All I usually do is like think about things on 5 tones of gray, well, specifically 3, which is like 100% white, 25% white, 50, 75, and then just 0% white. I have like 5 tones I always work with usually, and the only thing that I have to think about is the value of hues and the composition of the characters or the background and everything, making sure everything is just looks nice, because I don't expect people to look at a page for longer than a minute, you know. So I just want things to look nice so it can be read through easily. And after that, it's the lettering. Do that 1 time, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, 200 times, and you got yourself a book. Go into InDesign or Scribus, because it's a free version. Well, it's not really a free version of InDesign. It's its own like open source program where you just put all the pages together, put them into a PDF, ship them off to Amazon or Gecko Prints or whatever you use, and you got yourself a book. Oh yeah, and also don't forget the covers. So yeah, that's the general idea of how I make my comics. The rundown. So if anybody has any question of how to do something specifically, feel free to ask in the comments. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video, see how this goes, and hope this helps out a little bit. Anyway, feel free to check out the comics. I don't even know what I'll have in the that's playing on the screen. I decided to do this last minute because I haven't uploaded in a while. So hope everybody has a good day or night or afternoon. Later.